slow two, and the slow two is between the piano and the harp, and you have the harp, piano, the harp, piano. Just play it again. So now everybody has understood, I hope so, the tempo. Yeah.
When do you find the time to get into the philosophy with the musicians so that they know better what is happening in your head?
Well, you know, when I that's all my story. Also, I mean, you know, I don't look at the score of Bartók now, just 2 days before conducting it here. So that's really part of my history, and therefore, you know, if you ask me, for instance, when we are finished with the rehearsal, if you ask me about, for instance, meaning of this work in the Bartók output, or within the century, I mean, this period of century, I can tell you about that, and I can tell you about the mixture of tradition, the conflict between popular music and elaborate music, and so on and so forth. Then I can tell you quite a lot of things, but in the rehearsal we have no time for that. And if I begin to tell you, you know, Bartók seems to think about that, so you say, well, yes, what I have to do? I mean, maybe not loud or less loud, but I mean, you need to be defined your participation.
But Pierre, if I may say so, you are too modest, because I have watched you rehearse and participated in them for many years, and you don't just say softer or louder, shorter or shorter. No, but you say the most important thing. You say softer because.
Yes, that's
because this is the most important thing, because it's in the clarinet or because it's in the horn, and so I think the most important thing is to tell the musicians how to achieve what and for what reason. In other words, not to show them what we think, but to show them what they have to think.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. You know, I made a kind of very, very rough resume. I mean, that you have to tell something practical. Yeah. That's I wanted to say exactly. But I mean, of course, practical. Why? That even in very few words, but you have to tell why. For instance, when I want to hear the phrase, I say you first, you second, you third. I mean, that's really what I and then you have the phrase. And then, like for instance, when I was asking the piano and the harps to be on time, I told them, I remember very well, I want to hear the rhythm first, the tempo, because these 2 bars are establishing the tempo. And therefore, I want that, and not only because it is 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think the most important thing for the conductor, it doesn't matter whether you stop the orchestra a lot or very little. But whenever you stop them and tell them something, you must insist to get it. And you must insist to work until you get it, and then it must be audible. Everybody in the orchestra must be able to hear why you wanted to change something in what. If not, then it's...
You waste your time, yes, for sure. I would like to have, please, just the horns, 2 before 8. Okay, then now I would like to have the flutes, just the flutes, 2 before 8. You hear you have the B in the center, and this time the flutes are just above and under. And so if I mix them, you will see the acoustic, and that's exactly the same result as with the horns and the violins before, but now that's between the horn and the flutes. And you hear the difference. I asked this morning when we were rehearsing, I asked for the difference because when the horns are open, you hear barely the flutes, but you hear something around. And in the second chord, then you hear, because the horns are stopped, then you hear more the flutes. You have the same, exactly the same notes, but I mean not at all the same acoustical result. And listen to that again, you will see. You hear the difference. And that's some details like that which are essential because you find them along, that does not belong to any kind of harmonic language, but that's just a pure acoustical language that you find in Bartók's sometimes. Then, so I mean, I would like to just also give you the, a parallel to the first example I have given. There is in the development of the piece, there is a return to the beginning. And to have the return of the beginning, I want to have exactly the same type of sonority, the same type of balance, the same type of rhythm. And then I will perform the figure 13 to just establish that you recognize immediately, without telling anything, you recognize immediately that's a kind of repeat and with the same atmosphere at the beginning. 13. So, you see, let's have the harps and the piano again. 13. 1. And so on. You have not the same chords, but the alternance between piano and harps, exactly the same as the beginning, not on the same chord, but exactly the same way of listening to it. And then the main sentence, phrase is done this time with the harp instead of the horn, and instead of horn, woodwind and the strings. This time you have only one instrument, the flute. Could you perform that? And this one is much easier to listen than before because you have only one characteristic and you can follow that very easily. I would like